What's going on, everybody? It has been way too long since I have updated you guys on what is going on with my channel and with the 370Z. Unfortunately, I have just been really busy, of course, with work as usual. It is really time consuming just making videos and things. But today we do have a fun project, as the name suggests. But first, let's go ahead and give you guys a little bit of an update on what's going on with my 370. So the first thing you'll notice is, of course, my spoiler is once again off. That is because I just got in the vinyl that I have been waiting for almost 2 months to get. I have gone ahead and wrapped the hatch up real nice. You can see some of that pearl blue coming in there really well. You can still see some of the holes poking through where I will have to drill back through to reinstall my spoiler. Turned out fairly well. I was really happy with it. There are some areas where you will see some imperfections. There's kind of a couple of creases right in here, just because wrapping this hatch did prove to be a little bit difficult, but for the most part, I'm happy with it. Got all the rest of the vinyl, so we'll be wrapping the rest of the car in the coming month. But we do have a couple of other projects coming up as well. Firstly, I am getting new wheels and tires. Now, finally tax season came around. I had some extra money to spend, and I've been looking to upgrade the wheels because right now I am riding on the stock 18-inch wheels, which don't fit the sport brakes, and eventually one day I do want to upgrade to either the Akabonos or do something else. So I do have some wheels ordered. I already have the tires, but the wheels are currently being made right now. I'm not going to say what wheels I have, but I will say I have some Nitto triple nickel G2s, some big 305 tires for the back, as well as some 255s to replace the front. So that's going to happen hopefully here in a month or two. I'm hoping it happens before Nismo Fiesta, which is in early May, but I suspect it's not going to come till after that. We'll have to see. And then, of course, as the title suggests, I am going to be building up a subwoofer box because I am redoing the speaker and sound system in the car. I already have a bunch of microfiber boards all kind of sketched out here so we can cut them up. So you guys will get to follow me along with that. I'm not only going to be installing a sub, I'm going to be redoing all the speakers in my 370, as well as I'm going to be changing out the stereo and a couple of other things. So I'll be giving you guys a detailed video on all of this because I really haven't seen any other video out there explaining how to do this properly. So you guys can follow along with me with that. As for those aftermarket fenders, the vented ones that I had ordered, I had gone ahead and tried to test fit them about a month ago, and I came to the realization that the fit is just so poor that it's not something that I'm going to be able to do myself. I'm just not that much of an expert with doing bodywork on cars. So that set of fenders is going to have to wait. I'm not sure if I will end up installing them one day, but it's going to have to hold off for now so I can get to some other projects. I am also trying to install some camber arms, as well as possibly some tow arms or do something with the rear suspension. I initially did just install some camber arms that I had gotten from Z1 Motorsports, but unfortunately trying to adjust the alignment on those without having proper tow arms just throws the tow out of alignment. So right now the Z is currently just having to deal with the amount of camber that it currently has. Unfortunately, I can't correct that until I'm able to redo the rear suspension, and I think my plan for that is to try and get true coilovers. That'll eliminate the little spring bucket that sits in the back, and then I'll be able to install some tow arms and get everything aligned properly. So that'll be for a future build. For now, I'll just go ahead and leave that. But that's enough talk for now. Let's go ahead and get to getting the subwoofer box all made up. Now here's the sub that I have chosen to go for. It is a Pioneer 8-inch sub, a shallow mount sub, because I am planning on fitting this inside the spare wheel in my car. I'm trying to keep this looking discreet. I'm not trying to get a ridiculous 12-inch subwoofer box or anything. The cabin space is pretty small. You don't need a whole lot to fill it up with sound. So we'll be giving a little bit of a kick to the Z's audio system with this. Again, it will just fit inside of the spare tire. And basically what we're going to be doing is cutting up rings to try and fit the sub. The first two are for actually mounting the sub on top of the box. And then we have a bunch of rings here that we'll be cutting out to actually form the volume of the box itself. Along with the lid that will sit on the bottom, we'll cut a hole in the center of this so that way we can put the screw that sits in the center of the spare to hold the box in place. If you don't see it now, it'll make more sense as we start to get it constructed. The box itself is going to be pretty small. It's only going to hold about 0.18 cubic inches, but that should be enough for what we're planning on doing today. So we'll go ahead and start getting this cut up. Alright, and here's going to be my setup for getting these all cut up. I'm not exactly an expert when it comes to woodworking, so I don't have a woodworking table or anything. I'm just using some paint cans to kind of hold this down on my bench. And then we're going to use an electric jigsaw here to be able to cut out the inside as well as the outside of the subwoofer box. I have drilled a little hole here in the center to be able to start the blade off. So we'll do these about a quarter at a time. We'll keep turning the board. Then we should be able to cut out each of the 7 pieces here. Of course, since we are doing this by hand using the jigsaw. This will take a little bit of time, but hopefully it'll all be worth it in the end. So let's go ahead and get to cutting. The subwoofer that I have bought is a Pioneer TS SW2002 D2 subwoofer. It's an 8-inch sub, and it only has a mounting depth of around 2.5 inches. This means that the box does not need to have as much volume as normal. Most 8-inch subs are going to require a minimum of around half a cubic foot, so depending on the subwoofer that you buy, you may not be able to get away with a box like the one that I am constructing. This one will fit inside the spare tire, which means I only have about 0.18 cubic inches or so of volume space, but the minimum requirement for the sub is only 0.15. So you want to double check to make sure that the subwoofer box that you construct is going to be able to work with the sub that you purchased. So here is the first ring cut up, and it fits fairly nice around the case of the subwoofer. It is a little bit uneven in certain areas, but you won't really see it, so I'm not too concerned about that part. And you can always sand it down to try and make it even. And then going back to test fit it here, inside of the spare wheel, it fits just about perfectly. Give myself a little bit of room in here so I can kind of reach my fingers around if I need to be able to like pull it up and things. And of course I didn't realize that there was a notch down here, so I did end up having to cut out this flat side, but for the most part it fits like a glove. So this is why it's always important to measure out everything before you start to cut. All right, and here is the second piece cut out, and the idea with this is that this is actually what the sub is going to sit on top of. So this piece will actually support the bottom of the sub, while the other piece that we just cut is going to sit on top of this to try and protect it from the carpets, because the carpet is going to be sitting on top of the subwoofer. So now that we have that, then I think what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and start gluing these together. The way I'm going to kind of combine all of these pieces is I'm going to use some of this wood adhesive stuff that I got. I'm going to be using this liquid nails adhesive to initially just sort of glue the individual pieces together, as well as kind of seal up the box a little bit. And then I will go back later and actually drill nails through it to give it some more support. So we're going to go ahead and start doing this piece by piece. That way we don't have to try and do them all together and try and keep it clamped and everything. I'm gluing each board down as they are cut out. That way it'll give each board below it some time to dry out. That way they're not shifting around when I try and apply each new layer. If you want to do them all at once, you can, but it means you are going to have to clamp them down to prevent the boards from shifting around. As for the boards themselves, I am using 3/4 inch microfiber board. This stuff you can pick up from your local hardware store for fairly cheap. And if you want to save money, you can just get one large sheet and then cut out each of the individual squares as needed. Alright guys, so it is a few days later now, and the subwoofer box is actually installed in the trunk of the 370Z. We are actually getting ready to take this carpet up and pull that box out, because we do have just a couple of additional things that we need to do to be able to get this ready to be able to wire it up. So we'll go ahead and show you just how this box fits in here. So you can see that it actually fits really nicely inside of this foam piece of trimming here. It does of course have a flat edge to be able to make room down here, and then there is the subwoofer installed in the center. Now the rings that I cut out by hand using the jigsaw of course aren't going to be perfect, but that's all purely cosmetic. That shouldn't affect too much here. But yeah, so the subwoofer fits just about perfectly. I need to take this out because I do need to try and seal up the sides of the box a little bit better. We're also going to drill a couple of holes through the top here to be able to run the wire through a couple of these mounting screw locations. So we'll go ahead and pull this out. So here is the subwoofer box itself. It is fairly small. I'm not sure if that comes across camera, but as far as subwoofer boxes go, it's not the largest, but it does meet the minimum requirement for the volume needed on the box. For this particular speaker, for this sub, I believe it requests about 0.15 cubic feet, and this sits in right about 0.18, so it does meet the minimum. What we're going to go ahead and do now is try and seal up some of the edges with some more of that liquid nails stuff, just to try and get it sealed, because this is supposed to be a sealed box. So we'll go ahead and do that just to try and seal it up a little bit better here. So I applied my excess liquid nails into the crevices inside the box, and then I went ahead and wiped down the excess material using a paper towel. This will not look very pretty, of course, but I really don't care what the box looks like because it's going to be hidden underneath the carpet. If you do want to clean it up a little bit, you can always take a belt sander or something to the side to try and smooth it out a little bit. But since nobody's going to be seeing this box, I honestly don't care, so I just left it the way it was. Alright, and that is the enclosure now sealed up a little bit better there with the liquid nails. We'll give that a few hours to dry. In the meantime, I will be going ahead and finally installing the rest of my equipment here. We will be upgrading the sound system today, but that's going to take a little while, so that'll be for another video. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I'll be uploading that after this one. You should be seeing that hopefully in a few days, just depending on when I can get the time to edit the video. It will be a pretty long one though, I'm anticipating. I am going to try and explain step by step how to pick out everything you need for your car and how to install it inside of your vehicle. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see y'all in the next video. Later.